Hey guys, welcome back to episode 4. Your hostess, Dr. Brandie, um, here with Beef, or Bruno, who was in my books, as I've said before. So today, what I want to talk about is Sophie's choice. And what is a Sophie's choice with what I do and what I see in practice and what I've faced myself. And that is the heart of why I do what I do. It is the moment when you have in your life. I've had so many of those moments. One of the things that is a superpower of mine is turning pain into power. I think that is my way of controlling how I heal from stuff that has been very difficult in my life. And the thought is always, how can I make someone's life better from what I've been through? How do I turn this into something good? Because as much as I can control myself, I can't control stuff that happens to me sometimes. There is stuff in your life, just like right now, if you're struggling with a pregnancy or your partner left you, or you lost your job, or you're having some health issues while you're pregnant. These are things that are outside your control, and all you can do is control yourself. But what I wanted to talk about is what a Sophie's Choice is. And as I said, that's a 1982 film that was about, and I'll read it. It says, what does it mean to make a Sophie's Choice? It's an extremely difficult decision a person has to make. It describes a situation where no outcome is preferable over the other. This can be either because both outcomes are equally desirable or both outcomes are equally undesirable. And that's an understatement of really that movie and the stuff that I see in real life. So this was about a woman in Auschwitz that had to choose between her two kids dying, which one would die, which even saying that makes me viscerally sick to be faced with that. And obviously, with pregnancy, we're not making those choices, but sometimes that choice is devastating and has long-term consequences of how you talk about it. And I think I just got divorced after 26 years. It was solely my choice to get divorced. But as I've had space, I've talked about this on podcasts, as I've had space, sort of like you start to see your life flash before your eyes and realize your role in it, what you were responsible for. So many mistakes I made. So many mistakes I made, so many mistakes I tolerated. But one of the ones, and I'm not a person that has huge regrets, but one of the biggest struggles that I don't know how I could have handled better, which is what I deal with every day with practice that I'm trying to help, is the choice I had to make with my second child. And that was that when I graduated school, I was extremely successful, luckily. When I worked for someone else and then went into private practice for myself, I thought I could take my kid to work. My older kid, I could take her to work with me and it would be easy. And it was not easy because I thought I could work a quarter of the time and see a quarter of the patients and I would make the same amount of money that I did working for someone else. And I didn't realize owning a business is consuming. I'm 51 years old and I'm still consumed, frankly, by my business. And that's a choice and that's a cost that I deal with every day. But the one issue that I got into that I really struggle with as a mom, and I'm going to be really raw here, is when I almost lost my second child at 17 weeks, as much as I prepared for her, as much as I prepared for them, my youngest child is non-binary and they prefer they, he pronouns. They're born female, but that's the preference. When I was expecting them, I almost lost them at 17 weeks. And if I'm fully honest and transparent, the stress that my business puts on me, even today, is excruciating. And I love what I do. And so it's worth the cost for me to do it. But when you get pregnant, you have a different priority. And that's the thing I see with women in my practice is they change like this. As soon as they find out they're pregnant, they are a changed person, whether they like it or not, whether they want to change or not. They need to think of someone else besides themselves. They need to prioritize sometimes themselves when they're not used to that. That was me. Is like, hey, I matter. And how I saw myself as the keeper, the safe place of my baby. And in saying that, I'm also stubborn as hell. And I'm very independent. I'm hyper vigilant about my independence, that I can do everything and I can lift everything and I can take care of everything. So when I got pregnant, even though I planned it, I didn't slow down. And when I wrote my book, I talk about that in terms of being dropped into a cockpit of a plane, and you can't just step out and be like, psych, I'm going to step out for a second. I'm going to think clearly. That's not how pregnancy works, right? I remember my older kid wanted to go to Great Wolf, and I was 7 weeks pregnant, and I called my OBGYN office and I was like, hey, I'm going to Great Wolf. They have water slides. I've read that it's not safe to go into a hot tub or on these rides. And I said, I'm not really pregnant, 7 weeks. And they're like, you're pregnant. And I felt so stupid that weekend because I didn't look pregnant. Nobody knew I was pregnant, but I literally couldn't hang out with my older daughter and go in the toilet slide or whatever that is, or the hot tubs. I went up to my knees. So it's almost like you're put in timeout. Like you have to do things differently. I gave up Diet Coke. There's stuff you give up, in your life because you care about that baby. For me, with my situation, I didn't change much because with my first pregnancy, I puked all day and I was debilitatingly tired. Like it's like someone sucked all the energy out of my body. With my second, I felt good. I had minimal morning sickness. It was more like smells bothered me and I wasn't exhausted. So I just kept going. And just like you're taught in the chiropractic profession, that I wouldn't really have a problem until like 30, 32, 34 weeks. Because my first one, if you remember, I got in a car accident. So this one, I was like, oh, I'm good. I can bank hours. I can see patients. I can see this amount of patients and I'll be good. So at the time, the night I almost lost my daughter, I had 5 patients at the same time. I practiced in open bay, which I will never do again, which means that everybody's in the same room. We're all joking around. There's 80s music playing and it's happy and we're having a great time. And I'm running around, 17 weeks pregnant. Some of you guys listening are waitresses. Some of you guys work blue collar jobs. Some of you guys work in convenience stores. Some of you sit at a call center. Some of you are lawyers or doctors. Like, we're still doing it, right? We're still acting as if nothing's different, but everything's different. And you put on this front that everything's the same, even though internally you have this little dialogue in your head like, I have magic inside me and I have this most precious thing inside me, but so that everybody else is happy and so that you look like you have your shit together, you just do things. So that night I was seeing a shit ton of patients and I was adjusting somebody's foot and I had an episode of bleeding, severe bleeding, and I was told I was not allowed to work anymore at all. Game over. So all the planning I had done changed in an instant. Who I thought of myself as a person. I don't, sounds wrong, but I don't identify with being a chiropractor. I love helping people. I love making people feel better. I love the vector or the job I get to do that in. And that was pulled overnight. The one thing that gave me joy, owning a business, still a lot doesn't give me joy. I like strategy. I love visionary stuff. I hate HR. I don't even dislike the financial stuff. There's certain parts of being a boss that I hate. That still cause me immense stress. But I loved being a doctor. I love being a doctor. I love hugging people, loving on people, helping them understand what's going on, allaying their fears, making them feel better by just touching their body, adjusting them or meeting them where they're at. So when I lost that, when they pulled that like a cord, boom, out, done, lights are out, it was devastating. And I'm a huge independent woman. So to come into work, I used to say that was like an animal that you'd visit at the zoo. When my patients would come in, I love my patients. They would be like, "Hey, Dr. B," and I'd have to sit in the chair and watch my ex-husband, who didn't treat the same as I did, didn't have the same caring and the same heart. He has different qualities that are great. I had to watch him take care of my patients, and I'm a control freak. I'm protective of my patients. So the thing that I negotiated with my doctors, which to some extent I regret it's led me here to then switch my sports medicine practice all to pregnancy because I negotiated with my doctors and said, I see 3/4 of the patients. So it was a responsibility for my patient issue. It was also a financial issue that I was seeing 3/4 of the patients. I was carrying that load. So if I dropped out, we might lose our house. I might not be able to feed my kid. I might not be able to pay my bills. I may go out of business. And so the Sophie's choice that I had, which many of you might be facing, is you're told you can't work. You can't work. But you have this baby that you need to protect. But on the outside, you may have another child. You may have a mortgage. You may have an identity. And I know this may hit raw with some people where they're like, of course it's the baby. But do you guys realize that it's tied into other stuff? If I can't pay my mortgage or buy my kid food, I'm affecting the kid I have at home. If I can't pay my mortgage, my kid loses her house. If I lose my business, the employees that I care about are going to lose their jobs. My patients are going to lose who they see. So for some of you, you're told you're not supposed to work. You shouldn't be working. You should be on bed rest. Or you can't sit, like you're in agony and you go to work and you sit in a chair because your other kids need to be fed. And sitting there is causing, let's say, dead butt syndrome, or it's causing something that you have nerve impingement. Like your nerve is shut down because the muscles in your butt are so tight that you have this debilitating toothache pain in your leg and it's excruciating to sit. So you can't get your work done because you can't focus on your job because you're in so much pain. And you call out and then you get written up and you get put on a PIP because you can't do it. You're physically okay in terms of does your brain work if you weren't in pain? Yeah. Are you sick and contagious? No. It messes with you that you should be fine. You should be able to do this. And yet you can't. And you feel like you're letting everybody down. That's why I do what I do. Because that was me. And I've helped thousands of women over the years who have either lost their ability to work, lost their ability to even care for their other kids, lost their ability to function, to sleep, to work. Basic things that should be a right. I restored their dignity because a choice that they made, a really beautiful choice to bring a child into the world, was tough. And they had to make a choice. And I navigated that with them. It was always their choice. They were always in control, but I always provided them options of how they could modify. How can we get this done, keep you safe? How do we keep you from hurting yourself? What can I do or give you? Or what treatment can I administer? Or what exercises can I give you? You know, what massage techniques? Can I bring your partner in? Can I bring your mom in? Can I bring your sister in? Can I bring your best friend in? Can I teach you so that maybe you can't afford to be here and see me? Maybe because you're not working, now you can't pay me. What do you do then? Then you feel bad. And on top of that, what if you're terrified of chiropractors because of all the shit in the news? It's bullshit, honestly. You're terrified to come in to see me. You feel guilty that you have to pay me a copay, which is now like $60, $70 a visit. And a typical chiropractor is going to want to see you 3 times a week. I rarely do that because it's expensive. And I can teach you how to do some of this stuff. That's how all of my stuff started. All my books, all my courses. I believe in empowering people because if you're sitting home on a Saturday night and you can't text your doctor, what are you going to do? If there's nothing that you know that you can do, you're going to feel helpless. So why not give you something that you could try? So at least you could try something, and mentally that will make you feel better. At least you're trying. So for me, this is not about a job. This is not about selling courses or books. This is deep because I never want another woman to feel like that. And especially if you're like me, that emotionally you are alone, or emotionally you have somebody that you're with that uses weaponized incompetence, and you're doing everything. And I'll do another podcast on that because I feel very passionately about that. That doesn't have your back, doesn't take care of you, and see that you're in not a delicate state, but a different state of intentionally making your life easier because you're in that Sophie's choice. Then I want to give you every tool I can to recruit your own support network, or be your own cheerleader, be your own healer, be your own person, be your own superhero that will turn this around. And I guarantee when you're done, you're going to be so proud of yourself, because that's what I did. I got through it. I had a child. I took care of her as best as I could. I still supported my other child. Was it perfect? No. And that's why I'm practically in tears right now. And I'll get into that in a future episode. I did the best I could. And right now you're doing the best you can. And I'm here to help you in any way I can so that you can get through this, because this should be a time of joy. This should be magic. It's magic to feel that baby inside you, to create something out of nothing that only you carry, that you experience, feeling, are literally connected to, and to give you space to be able to connect, and space to not resent, which that sounds harsh. That happens all the time because choosing to have that baby has destroyed your normal life. And it's so embarrassing to say that, and it's so hurtful to say that, but that's the reality. Is a situation has changed your life in ways that are uncontrollable. And when you do not have a support system or the tools to help you be better, it's maddening. It's dehumanizing. And I can't even tell you at my age how much pain that still has, of regret, of the pain of feeling that Sophie's choice and hoping I made the right decision. So anything I can do for you guys. I'm Dr. Brandie. Please tune in next time for our next episode, where we'll cover more relationship realities.